Like I said, possibly the parallel could be you're in a very energy-rich environment, and things that we just don't comprehend yet are just present.
Moments ago, shocking news broke from the heart of the Pacific Northwest. Russell Acord, the former Marine and beloved star of Expedition Bigfoot, has finally stepped forward with an announcement that's left fans and skeptics speechless. For years, he's been the quiet backbone of the team, a man of discipline, integrity, and quiet determination. But now, Russell says he's ready to speak about something that's been haunting him since the show began. Viewers have seen him brave the thick forests and eerie nights in search of the legendary creature. Yet behind the scenes, Russell's personal encounters and private footage told a story producers never aired. And now, just 1 minute ago, he broke his silence. Russell Acord's voice trembled slightly as he addressed his followers online. Not from fear, but from the weight of years spent holding something back. "There's a reason we stopped filming in certain areas," he began. Fans immediately flooded the chat with questions, desperate for clarity. For so long, Expedition Bigfoot had teased strange evidence, thermal images, audio recordings, and unexplained figures moving through the mist. But according to Russell, there were incidents too disturbing to air. He explained that one night, while reviewing drone footage near an uncharted ridge in Washington state, his team captured something that defied explanation. A figure nearly 8 feet tall, but moving in a way that wasn't human. He said it wasn't the size or speed that unsettled him. It was the way it watched back. "It knew we were there," Russell said, his eyes fixed on the camera. "And it wanted us to know it." He hinted that after that night, something followed them for nearly 3 days. The crew began noticing odd details. Trees snapped high above human reach, strange guttural noises echoing in the distance, and the unnerving sense of being watched even inside their camp. At first, they chalked it up to paranoia. But on the third night, their audio recorders picked up a sound none of them could explain. A deep, vibrating growl that seemed to shake the air itself. "I've faced combat zones," Russell admitted. "But this was different. This was intelligent." He claimed the show's network executives ordered him not to mention the footage publicly, labeling it as too extreme for broadcast. Yet the footage, he revealed, still exists, and after years of silence, he's preparing to release it on his own terms. He said this announcement wasn't about fame or fear, but about the truth. "People deserve to know what's really out there," he said. "This isn't a myth anymore. It's real." As Russell Acord leaned closer to the camera, his expression hardened. "I've kept quiet for too long," he said. "But people deserve to see what we saw." Then, he described the footage that had been locked away since Season 3. It began as standard drone surveillance, a wide sweep of the Cascades, late at night, under infrared. At first, nothing unusual appeared, but then a massive heat signature emerged from the tree line. The figure walked upright, covered in thick, uneven layers of fur, and emitted a heat so intense it blurred the camera lens. It paused for a moment and turned toward the drone, locking eyes with the infrared lens. "It wasn't just aware of the drone," Russell said. "It was angry." Within seconds, the feed cut out. When they recovered the drone the next morning, its casing was cracked and the SD card had been ripped clean out. The crew dismissed it as damage from the crash, until Russell showed them the recovered memory backup. The final seconds of the footage were corrupted, but one image frame remained. A massive hand, stretched wide across the lens, with skin textured like stone and nails like claws. The team went silent. Bryce Johnson, visibly shaken, wanted to pack up and leave immediately. Russell, however, insisted on staying to investigate the area. that's when things got worse. They returned to the same ridge and discovered what looked like a freshly made structure. Massive tree trunks woven together in a deliberate spiral. "That's not wind damage," Russell whispered to the camera. "That's something building." As they examined the site, a sound erupted from the valley below. Deep, guttural, and rhythmic, like a heartbeat shaking the ground. "Every instinct told me to run," Russell confessed. "But I couldn't. I felt like it wanted us to witness something." Later that night, one of the cameras stationed near the camp picked up movement. A dark silhouette stood just beyond the firelight, swaying side to side. The eyes glowed faintly red, reflecting the flames. "That's when I realized this wasn't about evidence anymore," Russell said. "It was about survival." The next morning, the team discovered massive footprints circling their tents, and one of their storage crates was gone. It was as if something wanted them to know they were being hunted. According to Russell Acord, the morning after those footprints appeared marked the last day Expedition Bigfoot ever filmed in that region. The network claimed the team had completed their objectives, but Russell now insists the shutdown was far from voluntary. He recalls waking up to a call from producers instructing them to pack up immediately and return to base camp. "No explanation, no warning," he said. "Just a message from higher up. End the shoot now." Confused and frustrated, Russell confronted one of the field producers who quietly admitted that the studio had been monitoring their live data feed. The moment that strange structure appeared on camera, corporate security allegedly stepped in. "They said it wasn't safe, that we'd stumbled into something bigger than the show itself," Russell revealed. That night, before leaving the site, he and one crew member decided to take a final look at the ridge where the footage had been captured. As they hiked in silence, the forest grew eerily quiet. No wind, no insects, no night sounds at all. "It's like the woods were holding their breath," he said. When they reached the clearing, the structure was gone. Every massive log that had been twisted into that spiral had been removed. No footprints, no drag marks, just gone. It was as if whatever built it had dismantled its own creation overnight. Then came the breaking point. As they were returning to camp, both men heard a deep vocalization echo through the valley, unlike anything recorded before. It wasn't a roar. It wasn't a scream. It was something in between, Russell said. And it was close. Their headlamps flickered, their radios cut out, and for nearly 2 minutes, they couldn't move. "I've been in firefights. I've had bullets pass inches from me, but I've never felt fear like that," he admitted. When they finally returned, they found the rest of the crew already loading gear into trucks, some shaking, others silent. Within 24 hours, all digital recordings, backup drives, and unreleased clips were seized by a third-party data management firm hired by the network. "That's when I knew this wasn't just about ratings," Russell said. "Someone didn't want that footage getting out." A few weeks later, Expedition Bigfoot went on production hiatus. Publicly, it was explained as budget and weather issues. Privately, Russell was told to stop asking questions. But now, years later, he says he's learned who gave that order. And it wasn't the network. Russell Acord took a long pause before revealing what fans had been speculating for years. "It wasn't just the network," he said, lowering his voice. "It was someone else, someone with power." After months of silence following the shutdown, he was contacted by a man claiming to work for a private wildlife research agency. This man told him the footage and samples collected during filming were now classified under federal protection laws. Russell was stunned. "How can footage of an animal sighting be classified?" he asked. The man's response chilled him. Because it's not an animal. Russell refused to say the group's full name on camera, only describing them as an interagency task force that often works alongside environmental and defense departments. He recalled being invited to a private meeting in Oregon, where two men in unmarked uniforms showed him a document stamped with the words "Confidential, Level 3 Clearance Required." They told me what we encountered was part of an ongoing ecological phenomenon, Russell said. But when I pressed for details, they warned me that going public could violate national security. Still, he couldn't let it go. He asked about the confiscated drone and data cards. One of the men told him they were under review for biological contamination. Biological contamination from a drone camera? The phrase didn't make sense until Russell noticed that his crew's medical reports, filed after the expedition, showed abnormal readings. Unusual blood pressure fluctuations, low-grade fevers, and sleep disturbances lasting weeks. One crew member even claimed to hear strange, mimic voices near his home days after returning. It was like something attached itself to us, Russell explained. We left the forest, but it didn't leave us. The officials demanded he stop contacting his team, cancel all interviews, and return any remaining footage. When Russell refused, his communication with the network ended abruptly. Phone calls went unanswered. Emails vanished. Soon after, he noticed black SUVs parked near his property. "I thought I was being paranoid," he said, "until I caught one of them following me to the gas station." That's when he knew the story wasn't over, and that the truth about what Expedition Bigfoot uncovered was being buried. Russell Acord said the breaking point came one night when he realized silence was no longer protecting him. It was isolating him. "I was tired of being afraid," he said. "If they wanted me to stop talking, they picked the wrong Marine." That's when he began quietly collecting every piece of information he could still access. Old backups, handwritten notes, unregistered trail cameras, and the forgotten hard drives from field techs who'd left the show years earlier. "I knew they'd erased most of it," he admitted, "but you can't erase everything." Over the course of 2 years, Russell reassembled fragments of corrupted files, timestamps, and voice logs from the team's last expedition. What he uncovered shocked even him. Buried in one of the hard drives was an encrypted folder labeled Ravn Protocol. Inside were metadata files showing the original drone footage had been duplicated hours before it was confiscated, meaning someone else, possibly within the production crew, had made a secret copy before handing over the drives. Russell spent weeks tracking down who might have done it. Eventually, a former sound engineer agreed to meet him off the record in a diner outside Spokane. He looked terrified, Russell recalled. The man confirmed that before federal agents arrived, he copied all audio logs onto a personal drive, just in case something happened. "They told us it was just government wildlife regulation," the man said. "But one of the agents called it an encounter quarantine. That's when I knew it wasn't normal." He handed Russell a small USB drive wrapped in electrical tape. What was on it would change everything. The audio contained not just howls and forest noise, but an eerie sequence of guttural tones and rhythmic patterns. When slowed down and analyzed, they resembled structured communication. "It was language," Russell whispered. "Primitive, but intelligent." As he played a segment publicly for the first time, even skeptics went silent. The sounds were too complex to dismiss as random. He claimed this was the final straw, the moment he realized this wasn't about myth or folklore anymore. "We made contact," he said, "and someone didn't want the world to know." From that night on, Russell decided to go independent. He set up private funding to analyze the recordings, gather new witnesses, and return to the same ridge with a small team. No producers, no contracts, no interference. "They tried to erase the truth," he said, "but I'm going back to find it again." When Russell Acord returned to the Pacific Northwest, he didn't bring a full camera crew, just 2 trusted friends from the old Expedition Bigfoot team who shared his determination to uncover what was hidden. "We weren't there to film a show this time," he said. "We were there to finish what was taken from us." It was late autumn, and heavy fog hung between the trees like a curtain. They retraced their old GPS coordinates, moving cautiously toward the ridge where everything began. The forest felt different, unnaturally quiet, as if watching them arrive. Every step felt like walking into memory, Russell recalled. But something was wrong. The deeper they went, the more they noticed subtle changes in the terrain. Trees twisted unnaturally, patches of scorched soil, and what looked like enormous drag marks across the forest floor. "That ridge wasn't untouched," he said. "It looked like something had been excavated." When they reached the clearing where the spiral structure once stood, the ground was freshly disturbed, as though massive machinery had dug there recently. "Someone had been here," Russell whispered. "Not animals, humans." He found small fragments of synthetic material buried in the dirt, fiberglass, scorched metal, even melted plastic tubing. It looked like remnants of equipment, possibly from a cleanup operation. That's when one of his teammates called him over. Embedded in a fallen log was a single elongated footprint, nearly 18 inches long and pressed deep into the wood itself. Russell crouched and examined it closely. "It wasn't human. It wasn't bear," he said. "It was the same pattern we found years ago, but this one was fresh." Suddenly, a low, resonant thud echoed through the valley, like a giant fist striking the ground. "It came from below us," he said. The earth vibrated. They immediately packed up their gear and retreated to camp. But that night, the forest came alive again. The same guttural tones from the USB recording now echoed around them, this time closer and layered, as if multiple voices were calling in unison. "It was communicating," Russell said, "answering something we couldn't hear." One of his motion sensors triggered, and the thermal camera captured a moving heat signature, massive, humanoid, and fast. It stopped just outside the light range, staring straight toward the campfire. Russell swore he could see faint red eyes blinking through the haze. "That's when I knew," he said quietly. "It wasn't just a creature. It was guarding something." He believes whatever they stumbled upon years ago wasn't just a habitat. It was a boundary, and they had crossed it. Russell Acord said what they found next was unlike anything he had seen in all his years exploring the wilderness. When they returned to the ridge the next morning, the forest looked disturbed, as if the earth itself had shifted overnight. The ground had sunk in one spot, he said. It wasn't erosion. Something had been buried there, and it wanted out. They began digging carefully, uncovering a layer of packed soil that led to something hard beneath it. At first, they thought it was stone, but as the dirt cleared away, the surface gleamed faintly under the sunlight. It was metal, smooth, curved, and cold to the touch. "This wasn't nature," Russell said firmly. "It was engineered." Strange markings ran along its side, like etchings or symbols carved deep into the material. "No tool I know could cut through metal like that," he added. As they examined it, one of his teammates noticed a faint humming coming from below. It was steady, mechanical, almost like a low-frequency generator buried deep underground. "The vibration went right through my boots," Russell said. "It wasn't seismic, it was controlled." Suddenly, one of their cameras glitched out, freezing for a full minute before restarting on its own. That's when the howls began again, echoing from the valley, closer this time, overlapping in strange rhythmic patterns. It wasn't random, Russell said. It was coordinated. He described it as a communication, a warning. The forest around them grew deathly quiet, then erupted with movement, branches cracking, rocks tumbling down the slope, and the eerie sense of something circling them. "We knew we had seconds to decide," he said. "Dig deeper or get out." Against his instincts, Russell took one last look beneath the soil and noticed a dark void under the metal surface, an empty space leading deeper into the ridge. "That's when I realized it wasn't just buried," he said. "It was sealed." Before they could investigate further, a thunderous roar echoed across the forest, shaking the ground. "I've never heard anything like it," he said. "It was so loud you could feel it in your bones." The team bolted, leaving their tools behind, sprinting until the forest finally went silent again. Hours later, when they looked back, thick mist had swallowed the entire ridge. "It was gone," Russell said, "like it never existed." To this day, he believes what they uncovered wasn't just evidence of Bigfoot, but the entrance to something far older and far more dangerous. "We didn't find it," he whispered. "It let us find it." Russell Acord appeared on camera one last time, standing beneath a gray Washington sky, his expression grave but resolute. "This is the last time I'll say it," he began. "I'm not here to entertain anyone anymore. I'm here to warn you." He explained that the government's silence wasn't protection. It was control. "They've known about it for decades," he said. "There's a reason every major forest has restricted zones, and it's not just for wildlife." Russell then revealed that several former Expedition Bigfoot crew members had come forward privately since his first announcement, each claiming that footage and field logs from different filming locations had also been seized. "We thought we were documenting a mystery," he said. "Turns out we were trespassing on classified ground." He confirmed that he's been collecting all surviving material, audio, video, and written reports, into an encrypted archive that will automatically publish online if anything happens to him. "They can silence me, but they can't silence the data," he said firmly. The camera zoomed in slightly as he continued, his tone darkening. "Whatever we found out there isn't a lone creature. It's part of something bigger, a system, an intelligence, maybe even a civilization that's been here longer than we have." He referenced multiple sightings that occurred along the same longitudinal path stretching from Northern California through British Columbia, all near deep cave systems or magnetic anomalies. "That ridge was no random spot," he said. "It was chosen." He took a deep breath before revealing his next step, an independent investigation codenamed Project Backtrail, aimed at tracing the movement patterns of these entities using satellite heat imaging and underground radar scans. "If they try to hide the truth, we'll map it ourselves," he declared. Russell closed his statement with a warning for anyone planning to explore the area. "If you go looking for them, don't bring weapons," he said quietly. "They know what those are. Show respect, or you won't come back." Then he paused, glancing over his shoulder toward the fog-covered forest. "They're not monsters," he said softly. "They're keepers, guardians of something humanity isn't ready to find." With that, the feed ended abruptly. No outro, no music, just static. Moments later, his social media accounts went dark, leaving fans across the world wondering if Russell Acord had truly uncovered the biggest discovery in human history, or if the truth had finally caught up to him.